This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we do have a quorum. All 5 board members are in the same room, which I think is probably a first for a long time. Proof of notice, emails went out. It's on the notice board here and down at the golf club. Approval of the past minutes. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting for the 10th of April and for the closed board meeting for the 7th of April? Can I have a second? Second. Any questions or comments about those minutes? Okay, all those in favour?
Aye.
Unanimous? That's done. And now we have a guest speaker for us tonight. We have asked Nina Morales, who is the HOA manager for the Master Association, to come in and talk to us about a couple of topics I asked her to address, which is the gates, security, and secondly will be the turnover of the Master, which, as we know, is going to be next month. So there's also anybody who is feeling that they want to contribute and apply for a board membership for the Master. There are the application forms at the back of the room here. Please take one, apply. The more we have from a country club perspective, the more say we will have in how the Master is being run going forward. And for those of you online, there's electronic voting to be signed up for as well. And within the email you'll have received from the Master is also the ability to apply for board membership. So I'll leave it there and hand over to Nina for her to make her presentation.
Thank you so much, Neil. You covered a couple of things I was going to go ahead and remind everybody. So the intent for candidacy is in the back table. That is the packet you should have received via mail and also electronically. No later than May 19th for any of you that is interested, so that we can prepare all of our mailings for the upcoming election, and it will be electronic voting. There will be 7 in total board members for the Master, so that's 2 from Country Club, 2 from Retreat, 1 from Champions Club, 1 from the 4 condo associations, that's condo 1, 2, 3, and 4, so 1 in total for those 4. And there will be 1 for open seats from any of the sub-association. Any questions you may have, please reach out to me directly. I also left some of my business cards in the back. I'm just now meeting some of you and matching face with a name, so glad to be here. No nomination from the floor, so that's very important. So make sure if you are trying to get in there to get that in timely, okay? Do you want me to go over?
I'd just add, I asked Nina how many applications she's received so far. There have been 4 applications, but none from the country club. So we have nobody who has put their name forward for the Master from the country club. So again, we need representation. We need people to put their names forward.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, quick question. When we vote, are we voting for 7 members or just the members in the country club? How is that going to work?
That is a great question. You'll be voting for all 7. You can also vote for, as an example, as a country club homeowner, you can vote for a Retreat homeowner, Champions Club, the condo, etc.
Okay, but if there's, say, 4 members from the country club running, we could vote for all 4 of them plus 3 others?
Yes and no. However, to get your votes into the right places, to make sure that we have the proper seating as well, there's only going to be 2 selected out of the country club. Right.
And how does the at-large one get selected? Total
the most votes.
Of anybody who didn't get elected?
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
So you only have 4 right now. What if you're stuck at 4 come election? What's the protocol?
I hope not. That is a great question. That is not what I'm trying to maneuver my mindset on. I was just letting Neil know that we usually have our turnover committee meetings Tuesday evenings. So I will be having another one tomorrow, which Country Club has some great representatives within that committee.
Normally the way it works, Pat, is that if there is only sufficient applicants to fill the seats on the board, they don't even look at the voting because they automatically get elected. So if there's only 4, if only 4 people are nominated and apply, then those people automatically get elected and the other seats just remain empty.
Even if all four were from the retreat?
I believe so. Sorry, whoever's on the online, can you mute your phone, please? Because we're getting a lot of background noise. Caller one, can you mute your phone, please? Can we mute caller one?
I need it, just.
Sorry, Peter.
I emailed you today, just to confirm, if there's no representatives from the country club, say 7 retreats, all 7 from the retreat would get the seats on the board.
Yes.
Okay, so if you didn't hear that online, Peter's question was that if there are 7 applicants from the retreat and none from any other of the associations, i.e. none from the country club, all 7 retreat applicants will automatically get elected to the board, which is why it's so important for people to put their names forward.
If you're on one board, can you run for another board?
No.
Quitting?
So nobody here can run for the master, correct?
Correct.
Unless you resign, right?
Larry?
I was wondering, Neil, if you could address the importance of this, having people on there, especially with the Oasis coming into play and big money there.
Well, I mean, for those of you who are unaware, the master controls the security around our community. So they're controlling the gates, they're controlling Ramco or the security company, they control the main roads throughout our community. And so it's extremely important for us to have a say in how that gets managed going forward, which is why we need to have the right representation on the board to make sure that our voices are heard. The Oasis, Larry mentioned, the Oasis is not part of the master. The Oasis is owned by Lennar, and the new Oasis 2, if you want, the water park, also owned by Lennar. So that is a completely separate question other than the master. I mean, we could talk a lot about the Oasis, but briefly, the Oasis doesn't really come into play until Lennar has sold all of the properties within the community, including all of the retreat homes. And then there's a 2-year period at which stage they can offer up the Oasis to the community for us to purchase. So we've got a ways to go before we have to worry about the Oasis question. The big issue we have at the moment is getting people on the master board.
Right, and to piggyback on that, like Neil said, with the gate access, that is a huge key factor, and it's very, very important for the board members to really take into that consideration that is its own animal, right? So you're dealing with every single main entrances, not just the interior ones for Country Club as an example, but also too, if you're not aware of it, we do have contract with Osceola Sheriff's Department and also FHP during the weekend. So that is all part of gate access. That is all part of the master association. And also another large item would be the landscape as well. So there are some areas in which the master
Caller one, can you put your phone on mute, please? At the bottom. The bottom.
That one, but I said it was at the very bottom.
Okay, so we've had some measure of success because we have David online who has already said he's going to put his application in as a board member for the master. So thank you, David.
Just to let you know that I'll be
And Peter Lightburn is also going to apply, so we have at least 2.
I think it's important, though, we have 3, if not 4, in case there's other groups that can't get any representation.
Yep.
So I think it would be helpful to have at least 4. I think, Nina, the other thing, you did not get the email about this. Your email address with the master is not valid or current. So another reason you need to contact potentially and make sure that your email address is current if you didn't get any of this information and you're only finding out about it tonight, to make sure that that email is updated as well.
Yeah, so I did leave some of my business cards in the back. If you've not received any communication from myself, you should be receiving it. If not, send me an email. I'll make sure you are added to the database.
Oh, and I think Tracy's also going to add, thank you, Tracy.
Okay.
So, nothing else, we've had a success there.
Perfect.
Excellent.
There you go. Great. I'm still going to be reiterating it to the committees tomorrow night. I think they have done a great job with their participation and efforts, through this process.
Okay. Moving on to the gates then and the security.
Yes. So security, I know there's probably tons of questions in regards to this. So again, my line is open for any individual or specific situation that you may have ran into. There are tons. However, I wanted to specifically mention the Track K virtual guard, which Track K is right across the street from the west side main gate. That has been installed last week. I was out on vacation, but I wanted to make sure that was placed prior to this meeting, and they did. So I've not received any complaints as of yet, but I believe that virtual guard would be a great addition to any other entrances that we do not have manned guards for, and also another security feature, so we can decrease tailgating or unauthorized guests per se.
Can you just explain how the virtual guard operates, how it works?
Absolutely. So virtual guard, I know it's simply saying it's a guard that's virtually on the screen. So you are able to click a button, they're able to see who is coming in and out of those gates. It's easier for a scanner. It can call also any of the guards in any of the gatehouses. It has special features such as knowing exactly who is coming in and out. There's that facial, view right there at the front of the access. So I think that's very critical. So we know exactly who's coming in and out. We're not missing any vehicle that is coming through. So that is a great addition. So anybody live in Track K, by the way, that have seen it? Yes, okay. Okay, so I'll get your feedback later, but if there's anything that I can do for that, I just wanted to make sure that prior to this meeting that was added.
Okay. Any?
We always have people, pop cars in. How does that keep someone from tailgating?
Well, anybody that wants a tailgate, they will do their best to do it anyways, right? However, that virtual guard, when you have eye contact, right, usually that really just decreases the chances of someone trying to come through or sneaking in a way per se, because you have somebody looking right at your face. We have your entire image. But also too, it calls a guard to make sure that they are the ones allowing them entry.
I think we're never going to overcome it entirely. People are just going to follow us through, but as much as we can to try and restrict it.
So you're going to put one of those
Oh, no. That is the plan. That is actually my goal. I wanted to see how the Track K virtual guard would play out. Wanted to get some feedback from, full-time residents to see how that is working. And then the goal is to have them at the other unmanned gates.
Hi, I'm not sure if you can hear me. I have a quick question regarding the virtual guard. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
we can.
Hi, I'm Carrie Rugg. I live on Backspin Lane in Track K or K Track. It's the one at the main gate coming in. Are they going to put one at the second gate by the residents? Because I have found that we're getting, people on our bumpers constantly trying to follow us in there. And I try not to let them, but my husband's already been jumped and I'm usually got my grandkids with me during the day and I don't want to be jumped. So are they going to put a virtual guard at that second gate or get better gates to make that a little bit more secure?
Gary, thank you for your question there and for sharing your concern. The plan is to not put the virtual guard in any of the interior barrier arm entrances. However, we can actually research some other options that could better benefit the community. I think those barrier arms can work, right? Only at sometimes, I guess, like Neil said, we can't really get rid of tailgaters. But at the same time, I've also thought about speed bumps, but not everybody is a fan of that really, so we can avoid other tailgaters. I got a thumbs up from across from me.
Well, those gates there just seem very flimsy. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
going to lie. A lot of times they're just literally taken off and placed on the ground. The ones that we have coming into track K, I mean, they're very flimsy. And I know that they have a set button. They go down fairly quickly. And I feel like if you're tailgating in, there's a likelihood you could, smash your car or whatever. But they're just very flimsy. I just feel like this side of the community, I don't know. I just feel like we're very vulnerable. We have a ton of people walking here in the evenings where, I tell my husband, I said, I don't even feel comfortable sometimes to go out of my own house in the backyard because there's all these people walking in right from the retreat. And I think if we did something to close the access a little bit better from the retreat area at that main gate, maybe we could cut down on that, and maybe some of the, the small little break into the cars and just the vulnerability. I mean, we don't have any guards on this side. All the other sides have a guard, if not one, more than one. I just kind of feel like sometimes we're just off on the side, like the forgotten side.
That is a long one, Carrie. I think you and I will have to spend some time offline and just to bounce back some ideas that you may have. But at the same time, we are looking at other options, technology-wise, that Ramco is, I think they're going to be active with within the next couple of months. So that would be a great addition into adding an extra security layer for the permanent or the full-time residents here within Championsgate. I know the barrier arms are designed for it to fall off at vehicle impact, and that is it's a safety issue, right? It's a safety feature so that it doesn't damage the vehicle or harm the driver or whomever. So they are designed to fall off its bracket, and that's why you've probably seen somebody just pick it up and bolt it back on.
But I think also you've got the Safety and Security Committee, which is chaired by Mark Lostra. Again, they haven't been able to, I mean, they've got a lot of good ideas, but because the master is still controlled by the developer at this stage, haven't been able to implement a lot of those. So again, once the master turns over, I think the Safety and Security Committee can probably come into its own with regard to a lot of these security issues and come up with some suggestions in terms of what might be available for us in those entrances. And it's not just track K. I think there are other gates which are unmanned as well that perhaps we need to look at from a community perspective. Nina, I don't know if there's any questions online there.
I kind of skimmed through that, the one previous to the last one. It's in regards to retreat residents and guests and enforcing rules. So just kind of giving you guys a little bit of a background. I also managed a retreat at Championsgate, so I am the manager for that association. And I have a coffee talk with manager every other Monday. So I will be having another one this coming Monday, and I do go over rules and regulations. We now have a towing enforcement. I know for a long time that wasn't put in place due to, not really sure what the history was, but that was just something that wasn't in place prior to my time. But also we have a violation coordinator as well. I do a coffee talk with the property managers. We also required certain information before we can get their email address for them to receive any of our communication as a community. So there are some things that we're requiring now that's allowing us to really clean up a lot of the historical, I guess, habits that retreat is really known for. So hopefully within the last year, I have been with ICON for a year, that you've seen a little bit of that smoother process, not just with gate access, but better quality within the retreat residents as well as we restrict some of those rules. We have turnover for retreat coming just a few months right after the Master Association. So that is definitely going to give a little bit more of a fitting into the association and cleaning up a lot of the restrictions.
Okay, I'm conscious of time because we do have quite a full agenda today. So maybe one more question.
So Nina, I have two comments. One is, with the violations for the retreat process now in place, I would encourage you to look at the houses allowance 5 and 4 the golf course that have the roof or the fascia all coming off. It's an eyesore from the golf course, so encourage you to focus on some of those, but you have to go through on the golf course to see the violation in most cases. Second of all, I just ask you if there's something you're doing about the school kids. Here, it's like a disaster ready to happen. The kids are going to get hurt. Someone's going to get hurt over here
By Belicita.
by Belicita. So that's my comment.
No, thank you so much. Looks like Neil is going to be driving me through hole 4 and 5. But at the same time, with the Belicita entrance, just to give you an answer on that, we were working with the Osceola Sheriff to see what can be done. Depending on where they're parked, if they're parked right in the middle, they were actually told that they can, and there's really not much we can do. So I work closely with the sheriff, so we'll see what we can come up with, but I don't have a solution as of now.
All right, thanks. Thank you very much.
There's that last one. Oh.
Just real quick, I wanted to say, we've gotten this email coming out about the West Side Gate shutting down at 10, right?
No.
I mean, it's been, or on Facebook.
Yes.
Been something coming out. Where that,
The residents gate shutting down, yeah.
Resident Lane, and it's usually around midnight.
well, it said 10 on the but what's set up with Belicita? Is that going to be residents only? Or-
Belicita is always resident.
Okay, no more guests in there.
It's resident only, no matter what time. For
Okay.
Belicita.
Okay. Did you have one more point? Sorry.
Just one more thing. It's in regards to the Oasis 2.
Right.
It's actually now going to be a retreat club. That is what the amenity is called. I just met with the regional manager for that prior to this meeting. Slides are now certified. I know a lot of people are looking forward to the opening date. We don't have a specific date yet. I was told early midsummer opening. But if I have to guess, it would be later part of June.
I was told that about a year ago.
I know. I can only give a month, but there's that. It does have a full kitchen, outdoor bar, seating all around, hammock. There's an event stage in the back and a 9-hole mini golf.
Okay, great. Thanks again, Nina.
Thank you so much for the retreat. No. That is
Just the name of it's called the
that.
retreat club. Yeah, that's a bit
I do have
confusing.
my cards again in the back if anybody else has any more questions, okay?
Okay. Thanks, Nina. Okay, moving on. Managers report. Stephanie.
Yes, thank you. So this management report is reporting for April. So our arrears report for the month of at the end of April, total amount of maintenance fees owed to the association is $144,346, which is $16,000 less than it was in March. So we are seeing a good trend there. We're slowly but surely going down with those numbers. During the month of April, we closed on, 5 homes were closed on, which is an increase. The past 2 months, only 2 homes closed and 5 did close on 5. During the month of April, we had 40 residents call our 24-hour customer care center. So we had 40 inquiries and only 7 of those were escalated to on-site management, which is great. It's showing that our 24-hour call center is working as it should. We had 107 work orders open and 119 work orders closed during the month of April. To date, we have currently 31 work orders that are open. For violations, the month of April, we issued 68 violations. 66 of those 66 in total violations were closed in the month of April. And to date, we have 59 violations open. Architectural review information, we processed 51 applications during the month of April. 34 of those were approved, 10 of them were conditionally approved, and 7 applications were denied. Landscaping information, United Services, as of April 1st, they started their growing season schedule, which is from April to October. This means that mowing is done on a weekly basis, and then the trimming and detail work is done on a monthly basis. We sent out that detailed schedule to all of the residents, but I'll continue to circulate that again. It was also posted in the May newsletter, thank you. Use my words. Areas are looking good, but the schedule for mowing has been a bit delayed due to the afternoon heavy showers. So anytime it does rain on property, they do have to stop their operation. So sometimes they're a day or two behind schedule. And they are continuing to do irrigation analysis throughout the community. Other projects that are happening are just things that have been going on. We started our pool cleaning contract with Central Florida Pools as of April 1st. So far, so good. They are on site every morning. They service our pools here at the plaza and at the North Pool. They also provide daily reports with all of the chemical readings and any work that may need to be done with the pools, was anything that we did. Del Air, which is a AC HVAC company, they were on site a few times during the month of April for small AC repairs. We had an issue with the Oak Room AC in here where we eventually figured out that we needed to replace the thermostat, which we did. We had an electrician on site that did a bit of diagnostic work on 3 inoperable lights. One of the light poles that's out on the pool deck, and then also we have an electrical outlet box in the middle of our kitchen area, which needs to be removed because it is a tripping hazard. We had First Service safety and security team on site to do a walkthrough safety inspection. And then lastly, I'd like to talk about our towing and our parking policy that we have. So we did approve our updated parking policy as of February at the board meeting, and included in that parking policy, we had towing included. I know this has been a sore subject for everybody because it seems like there has been no enforcement yet on the new parking policy, and it is not due to lack of trying. We have found that we cannot find a towing company that will work under, that will not basically do what we're asking them to do. Our parking policy states that we give a 24-hour notice to vehicles, and we can't find a towing company. We contacted 4 of them: Center State Towing, Webb's Towing, Bolton's Towing, Anytime Towing, and no company will come out and sticker the vehicles and come back 24 hours later because they all work commission-based for vehicles. So coming out to sticker vehicles is a wasted day of revenue for them. So we've been back and forth with our association attorney, back and forth with the towing companies to kind of come up with a revised solution, which we have come up with. So as of today, actually. So we were working with the facilities committee as well to kind of come up with ideas. So what we are going to be moving forward with is management is going to be putting non-sticky notices on the vehicles, and also basically saying that street parking is not allowed, car must be moved within 24 hours or you'll be subject to towing. And if this vehicle is found on the street within the next 30 days, it will be an automatic towing without notice. And that, I lost my complete train of thought.
Taking a photo of the license.
Oh, yes, and we're going to be taking a photo of the license plate so that we have it on record, and that's what we're going to be sending to the towing company, a list of license plates, and then they're going to come out and patrol, and if they find that vehicle, even without a green pass on it, because we already put the pass on there, or not the pass, the ticket, the notice, they will tow on the spot. So we are now in the process of getting that towing contract signed by us and the towing company. And moving forward, we will be sending communication out to the entire community saying that we will be putting the parking policy in place now, and moving forward, these are the rules that we're going to follow. Along with that, also, sorry, no, this is long. Also, along with that, we will be starting the parking passes, which we do have here on site. So residents will be able to purchase 40 parking passes throughout the year, which gives them the ability to park for 1 day on the street. And the parking pass has to say the specific date. The towing company will know to look for those passes. But if the car has no pass, then they will be towed. And those parking passes are valid for that one day, but they expire like 3 years from now.
And just to add to that, because a lot of these parking issues are in the evening, First Services has agreed to do evening circulation around the community. I'm not going to say when that's going to happen because it's going to be random. So that way we can make sure we can capture the people who are regular offenders of this, and they'll be noticing them, taking the photos of the plates, sending it to the towing company. So if it happens the next day, towing company will be in and tow them.
Yeah. I mean, our sincere hope is that once one vehicle is towed and residents know that it is serious now, that the cars will disappear.
Hopefully.
Does that include the approaches to the driveway?
No, just street parking.
It's the aprons as well.
Is it the aprons as well, Peter?
Yeah, it's included in the policy.
It's in the policy? Okay,
Policy,
apologies.
yes.
So it's just the street, so aprons as well.
It's in the policy. It's in your policy.
Yeah, okay.
On the aprons.
So parking, yeah, it's what was it?
Sideways.
Okay,
That's it for me. Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Hey, Neil, sorry, Neil, just to clarify, sorry, are you saying that you will tow off of the aprons?
Yes.
I know you're not allowed to park there, but you will actually go onto somebody's property and tow? I know you guys say that's not property owned, but you're actually going to take a chance on wrecking somebody's lawn and
Well, the apron
hitting
is
the
not.
mailbox and stuff.
The apron is not the resident's property. The apron is
No,
the country
I
club
understand.
property.
I know that, but in order to get somebody's car off of it, there's a chance that they could mess up somebody's yard or hit a mailbox. I mean, they're getting awful close to people's actual property.
We do have, the towing company will have provided us with a copy of their insurance policy to cover these liabilities. So the towing company would be responsible if they do any damage.
I have a
Okay.
quick question. The 40 passes, do you have to buy 40? You have to buy a bundle of 40 passes?
Oh, no, that's a good question. I'm sorry. So originally it was 40, but we're going to give the homeowners options to also buy 20. So it'll be either 20 or 40.
Okay.
But
All right.
Same price.
Moving on to the committee. Gary, for the art, please.
Good evening. The Architecture Review Committee is responsible for trying to maintain the appearance of homes within the country club. We have had a vacancy on our committee for several months, and we would encourage any residents that would like to help us in this process to obtain an application at the HOA office and submit it as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary.
Gary, can you stay on to when you get to the Villa Subcommittee, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the legal committee. We had our legal committee meeting this afternoon. Just go over the highlights. The 558 notice to the developer, which is the construction defect notice, was sent on April the 26th. We've had no response from the developer to that. They have 120 days in which to respond. So we'll see. In the meantime, we have been interviewing construction defect attorneys. So we've interviewed 3, and I actually spoke to a 4th as well today that had been recommended. But we've come between the facilities committee and the board agreement on one particular construction defect attorney that we are looking to move forward with, and we'll be coming to the board for approval for that particular attorney. They work on a contingency basis, so no win, no fee, but they have looked at our 558 notice, they've looked at the engineering study, they've looked at the financials, and they feel that there is a strong case for us to pursue this with Lennar. So that will be moving forward. In terms of other highlights, Stephanie mentioned the delinquents. of 140,000. Of that, Lennar is 50,000 delinquent on their assessments for the properties they still own in the community. They are now on a pre-lien notice. So we've written to them, told them that if they don't pay within 45 days, and that was sent on the 1st of May, then we will be putting a lien on those properties, which means they can't sell them. So, unless they pay for their assessments that they owe us. So that's been done. What else do we have? Down to earth. Pat, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but down to earth, obviously, we discontinued the down to earth service on December the 31st last year and employed United. At that time, there was outstanding invoices totaling roughly about 140,000 US dollars due to them. We have contested that. We've taken legal advice. They have now presented us with a flash drive which shows the work that they suggest has been completed, which Pat has, and we've had a look at that. And to be brutally blunt, I mean, it's just nonsense. They've got Azalea Sands on there, which is not ours. They've got the master on there. They've got all kinds of garbage on there. So we'll just leave it. We're not paying them. We'll wait for them to come back and question it. What else did we have? I think that was probably it on the legal committee. So I don't want to dwell too much on anything else. Finance, can I add?
Sure.
Alan?
Thanks, Neil. Two main points. One, the 2022 audit is well underway. Stephanie and myself have been providing our auditors with a bunch of information. This year is a little bit challenging because January through May is under Icon, so we have to sort of give all that kind of information from our previous management company and support their accounting. And the rest of the year is with First Service. So I would expect that to wrap up probably sometime next month. And once that wraps up, or while it's still wrapping up, we'll go into the budget season. It's really halfway through the year, not even halfway through the year, but that's when we start the budget process to sort of see what 2023 is going to look like, both from an operating perspective, there's any capital additions we need to do, et cetera. So again, we'll be reaching out to the various committees for their support to help put together budgets, wish lists, things like that for 2023.
Okay. Question, why is the Finance Committee a closed meeting? Part of the reason that it's a closed meeting is because there's all employee type discussions going on in terms of salaries and that is confidential. That's one of the reasons why the Finance Committee is a closed meeting. But we do, as we go through the budget process, we do hold town halls to advise and show the figures. And obviously the financials are published on Connect. January and February's are there. We're still working through some of the...
March should be there too.
March should be there now?
Yep.
Okay, March should be there as well. Okay, thanks, Alan. Activities?
All right, so we all know on the 29th, the Memorial Golf Tournament's coming up, and it's a really big event in the community. So the Activities Committee decided to do something for the kids and grandkids. So if you have any children or grandchildren, on May 27th, here at the plaza between 11 and 1, we're going to have a fun in the Sunday. We have a bubble bus coming. It's a bus that's going to come out and it's just going to spray bubbles everywhere. Don't worry, they're not toxic. They won't hurt the grass or anything like that. So just got to put that out. We're going to have poolside games. We're going to have hot dogs. It's just going to be a really great weekend, to remember our fallen heroes from before. So if you guys have time, please come there. I want to put something out real quick too. This is more of a golf committee thing. On the 29th, we have the Memorial Golf Tournament, and it's going to be the first time that the new flagpole down at the golf course gets raised. So even if you're not in the tournament or playing in the tournament, please come down. And, we're going to have the celebration junior ROTC there doing the flag detail, and it's actually 2 members that go to our community. Well, there's actually going to be 3 of them that live in the community that are going to raise the flag for us. So it's going to be, it's going to be a really great time. Our next meeting for activities, and I'm also going to touch on communications, is going to be this Wednesday. Activities is at 5, communications is at 6, and then tomorrow we also have a pickleball meeting at 6 o'clock. For the pickleball crew, You guys are amazing and great. Stephanie, did we get that squeegee is ordered, correct? So if you come play pickleball in the morning, you'll notice that the courts are kind of wet. So we got a squeegee to roll all that water off there. The squeegee is going to be kept in-house in the plaza for right now until we figure out a different way to secure it somehow. So that's a great thing. Pickleball community's doing amazing. Matt's great. All you ladies and everybody's perfect. The tomorrow or on Wednesday, we have the communications meeting. We're going to go over the charter again with Javier, who's the chair of that. We noticed that the message boards came in. The message boards weren't exactly what we wanted them to be. However, it's not a lost cause, correct, Stephanie?
Yes, it's not.
So we know they're a little tall over there in K-Track. All right, it's going to hurt your neck looking at them. Fortunately, when they came in, the legs were super long. They cut them down, and they are concreted in there. We're coming up with a little plan. And when they came here, the backing, it said letterboard. We thought we put letters on there. Unfortunately, there's no cork backboard to it. It's those little white letters you stick on there. So we're putting the cork backboard each side of the message board can hold 4 sheets of paper on each side. So we're still going to be able to get the message out. It's not a lost cause. So we're going to be good for that. Finally, we're about to get into it a little bit. We got another new committee, Food and Beverage Committee. We're going to talk about that here shortly. We're going to get with FSR to get the exact date to make sure we don't have anything conflicting with it, because we have all these other committees going on. And then other than that, I think we are good. Oh, for the Food and Beverage Committee, when we get there, we had 4 people show up twice. Mr. Larry Bickle, Scott McGuire, Gary Giffens, and Phil Garrett that continue to come to these meetings. I know there's other ones who wanted to come. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it that time. So the next meeting, we're going to figure out who does come, and we'll be able to finalize that. So, but other than that, that's it.
Great, thanks, Terry. Phyllis?
So the villas, Karen had submitted some proposed wording changes to the ARC standards. In accordance with that, I've sent it circulated it to the board. I don't know if you want to discuss it, Karen, but I also want to hear from the facilities committee that did review and weighed in on it. And I know Gary's committee has also reviewed it and weighed in on it. So if you want to just summarize what you're asking for, or you want me to summarize? Go ahead. Come to the.
We wanted to have.
A little louder.
We wanted, and usually I'm loud. We wanted to have an option, just an option, instead of going the 5 feet away from the I guess the lanai, because we didn't feel that's enough. We really wanted to go to the ends of the air conditioner, the mulch, okay? When we had spoke to David Slough, who's the liaison with the facilities committee, he insisted we put a number. So it was supposed to be up to 10 feet, not 10 feet. Somehow it became 10 feet. Some of the air conditioners measure from the lanai to the end of the air conditioner 8 feet, 8.7 feet, okay? So we just, I don't know why he said go big, so we went to 10 feet. And everybody thought, well, if this one does 10 feet and the opposite does 10 feet, there's nothing in the middle. That was erroneous, that was not correct, okay? So that's what we wanted to do. You did allow us to do the whole width of our houses, well, I mean facilities.
Yeah, it's more decision.
Yep.
Well, so that's what we're asking, to have the option to extend the pavers from 5 feet that's now, just maybe another 3 feet to 8 feet, just to line up with the air conditioner, so when they mow, it's even. They're not going in and out of each one's home. And remember, it's an option, just an option. Some people may not want to put any pavers in their back. Some people may want to cover their whole back. Some may just want to do, out there doing of the lanai. Just an option. We just want to be treated just like any other homeowner.
Okay. Peter, did you want to comment from the facilities committee?
So we, at the last meeting, we did 2 things. It was presented at the March meeting, and subsequent to the March meeting, Rich, who's sitting behind us here right now, we took a look at all the properties, did some measuring, and measuring out from 10 feet behind some of the villa homes, especially the ones on the corners, you ended up with anywhere between a 13-inch and a 17-inch drop off on the corner, which would have created, we thought would create a safety hazard behind the home. So we voted at the Facilities Committee meeting, based on their request, to two things. One, to be able to extend the width of the patio to the full width of the home. Because currently it is only the width of the screen. The second part was to increase the depth from the current rules and regulations of 5 feet to 10 feet. Okay? And it was 10 feet, it wasn't up.
No, if you look at it,
It
it said,
10 feet, not up to 10 feet.
no, it did not.
Okay, well, maybe 10 feet, but we as a committee, and all we do is provide recommendations. We've got no review saying this. As a committee unanimously voted and felt that extending beyond 5 feet was not the right thing to do, because it would, it'd be fine for some villas, but for villas that are, especially on the corner, or where they have large drop-offs, or where in some areas the homes are quite close to each other, and you've got two 10-feet patios, you're limited the size between. So that was our recommendation. The ladies were there when we were discussing.
Can I ask Gary for his comments from the art committee? Because I know, Gary, a number of your members of your committee have raised their concerns.
Yes. We have a variety of questions, some of which Karen answered tonight, in that we were curious as to why the villa residents wanted this particular change. And Karen has expressed some language about that tonight. The only information that we had to evaluate was the actual draft language or the change to the standards, which is actually different than what Karen was describing. There are general issues. Is this the appearance of the community that the board wants to have? Villa backyards are visible from the street. Many, in fact, most of the detached homes' backyards are not directly visible from the street. So the board will have to determine if this is a visual appearance that is consistent with the community aesthetic. The maximum of 10 feet could involve pavers in just under 50% of each backyard.
We didn't want it.
Carry on, Gary.
An issue related to that is one of drainage, which Peter has alluded to also. It's not against the standards for a homeowner to put in a patio that drains into their own house. It's not wise, but it's not against the rules. It is against the rules for a patio to drain onto adjacent property or to HOA property. That's why in the detached homes, no one has been permitted to put pavers all the way to the property line. In fact, there's a 5-foot drainage easement along the sides of the detached homes to prevent that. So I think the board has to be careful in permitting pavers to go through the property line without allowing water to be transmitted to adjacent properties.
That's a good point. And I think some of the other questions, Gary, I know those were your questions. Some of the other questions from the other committee members were around, does this mean that screens are now going to be considered, furniture, grills, umbrellas? I think there's not sufficient explanation through the facilities and the art committee for the board to approve this. That would be my view.
My point is, you're all off to the races on the 10 feet.
No, it's not just the 10 feet. It's like Gary mentioned about the drainage. If you've got it as wide as your plot, then you're actually on on the border, and then where's the drainage going? So that's another issue.
And when that goes down, we are not changing anything. We're just putting pavers instead of grass. I have the plans here. I have the photo from Google Maps. Every distance, the closest one is in Trappers Trail, and 16 feet between the two buildings. And both roads 28.
No, I think the question is more, where's the drainage if you're allowed
It's the
to?
same place.
Can I finish? When you butt them up together and you've got your patio meeting your neighbors, at what point, or how do you design the drainage? And my other question is, how many people are looking to make this change? Do we know? Is it one person?
We don't
Two
know how many
persons?
houses want to build a pool.
Pardon me?
How many houses want to build a pool in your house?
I think the difference is the villa's backyards are visible from the street. Our single family homes are not, the backyards are not visible from the street.
Are you saying that they're not visible from the street?
The vast majority are not. The vast majority are not.
Go around there and see what proper trails look like? You can go.
All we're saying is you need to take it back and do some more research and talk to the art committee about their questions and deal with their questions. The facilities committee has rejected it. The facilities committee has rejected, made a recommendation to reject it.
Would you not have rejected it if we just said up to the end of the air conditioners? Was
I think that's not what we're looking at. I can't answer that without looking. The work Rich did would suggest that in some areas it's only 2 feet difference, okay, it's 8 feet to 10 feet. Actually, the drop-offs would still be very similar. I mean, I'm not an engineer, I'm just going based on what, and we all of us on the facilities committee have the same view. And you were there, and you heard the discussion. And so.
But remember, it's an option, and it's your homeowner, right? It's my option if I want to put a little step there or not.
It's not.
Why?
Because I can't, even as a single family home, I can't put something out and have a step in place.
May I
unless it's approved by the ARC.
May I show you some pictures that I took?
We know that.
I think that as there are questions from the art, the facilities committee has already rejected it. I think we need to go back and go convince that the facilities committee why they should approve it and go through Gary to get his concerns addressed and then bring it back to the board.
For me to consider it, I would like to understand how you're going to define like the depth. Is it like
up to the end of the air conditioner would be the depth?
I'm just saying, I need to understand the depth definition and clarity because once it's a rule, it needs to be the same for everybody and understood by everyone. If there's a step, I would be very cautious about that in terms of a safety issue because if I don't know I'm not an engineer, I don't know what the safety requirements are, but there must be something that if it's more than 9 inches, 10 inches, whatever, there needs to be a railing, a fence or something.
Can I just show you some pictures of steps around homes?
Can I?
No, let me just, for me to consider it, I need that. I also need Gary's concerns answered. And then when all of that is done, come back with revised wording that everyone agrees on.
I will just want to say one thing. We have revised this wording and revised it like 2 or 3 times now because we keep getting the runaround. That's my feeling. And I wasn't even on the committee when they first got the runaround with the wording. But as far as drainage, flat patio pavers in the ground, it's the same as the grass. I can't see that it's going to affect the drainage when you're not making a slope.
But I think, the issue we've got is that 2 of the main committees, you're a subcommittee, the bill is a subcommittee to the facilities. You've done the right thing by bringing it to the facilities. They've declined it. So you need to go back and get them to approve it and the ARC to approve it and bring it back.
Why didn't you tell us with us?
Well,
and tell me what we needed to do.
And I wasn't done.
Wasn't right.
It's an ARC standard. It's a standard that the ARC has to approve. So it's a change in the ARC standards. So if they're not on board with it, we can't approve it.
We do want to get finished.
I would love to talk to Gary about it if I had known that they had questions, if somebody would let the art committee know, or let us know, the goals committee.
Right.
We'd gladly answer them.
We just had a meeting.
Just don't say no and not
Well,
let us answer.
I'm saying I don't have enough information
Start meeting this
to
tomorrow.
take with the changes that were
And
proposed.
write down your questions, write down, everybody
No.
write down their questions so we can
Yeah,
address
we
them
don't know
to
where
the
to
best of our
proceed.
knowledge.
Nobody wants to help us succeed.
Yeah,
No, well,
And it's frustrating.
you have to
all
go
I-
through 3 committees to get something done, because we live in a villa.
well, you,
That's
to go
true.
to the ARC and follow the rules that's
First
in the
we have to
manual.
go
When you want to
to
change the
the
manual, you gotta,
facilities.
when you change the ARC manual, you gotta go to the ARC committee.
Of course we do.
And
We
so
only have to
based,
go with them.
based on that, I would like the ARC to sign off on whatever you're proposing. Based on what I'm hearing and what I read previous to this meeting, there's issues with drainage, potential issues with drainage, there's potential issues with safety and drop off. And I'd like to know how all of those are going to be managed, because for you to go to the ARC and get approval and someone next door can't get approval, and we need to treat people the same,
We
so.
did address some of the safety issues already, if you read what we wrote. And another one, why can't it be built up around the patio like other patios on the ends, on the ones on the ends? Why can't they just have sand or bushes?
I think, you know, it's not on the agenda for us to approve today. So I think it needs to go.
What do you want us to do?
I
Give
want
us
you
a
to,
direction.
I want you to go with the art committee to draft up the standards.
If you want our help, we will. It's just.
I appreciate it, yes.
We will help. We just, we have to start somewhere. We know what information we
We
have.
would like to.
And there's too many,
And I'd like you to please go back in the back of the building and physically look at it,
Which Richard has done.
not just to envelopes. Look at the, not the 10 feet out, look at how far out. Maybe it can't be 10 feet, maybe it could be 7 or 8. But you didn't say it could. You said you can't go 10.
Right.
Because that's what you always said.
Okay, so I think your next step is to sit down with the art,
Okay.
go through, and they'll help you, because they're redrafting the art standards as we talk.
Sure.
And they'll help you through what
Thank
needs to be done, and then work with Peter in terms of, you know, getting their buy-in on the facilities.
I appreciate that.
Maybe try and move it on quickly. Maybe Gary, maybe Gary or one of your guys, Gary.
Do me a favor, take a look at that. I took the time to take these and
Can
print
we
them,
on site?
share them.
Yeah. I think Gary would be open to that. I mean, I know
Meet
he's.
on site with you guys and say, okay, let's have a look, say what you
Thank
want.
you.
And we might not change our decision, but at least let's have the call an appeal, a second look, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So, could you arrange a meeting next week?
Yes, of
With
course.
Gary, myself, and Rich?
Yes,
Okay, can I leave that for you guys to organise then?
of course.
Okay, thank you. All right. Facilities Committee, Peter.
it's a violation.
Those have been there forever. They're not our property. They are properties in our community that have safety concerns that you're talking about.
That's why I'd be
We'll give it
inclined
to
to step
Stephanie
in
for her.
to see if we have some issues.
Oh, it's not
Yeah.
bad.
Peter.
Okay, Facilities Committee, quick update. The last committee meeting, we did talk about the so let's try and get it sorted one way or the other. We need to put a marker in the ground and move on one way or the other. First time is point of sale systems. We're currently reviewing point of sale systems, basically to put in a single system. We currently have the same system, but 2 installations of it, one here, one at the golf room. They don't talk to each other. We have 2 databases of people, etc., etc., etc. We interviewed and presented by 3 companies. I think we've narrowed it down to 2 companies. We're now waiting, I think, for a non-disclosure agreement.
I signed that today. It's been signed, yeah, in
So the
14.
non-disclosure agreement's been signed with the company that needed it. We're now going on to the final phase of trying to pick a POS provider, where we'll have one POS system between the 2 locations. Hopefully, you'll be able to see how beneficial it is to everyone. Parking, I'm not going to go into that. I'm glad we got a resolution today. Mailbox lighting, the Stephanie's arranged to have mailbox solar lights put in at North Pool, so they were put in last week. I think Pat was going to check them out.
I checked them out, but it wasn't dark, so they weren't on yet. Well, I'm sorry, I was out of town for a week too, so. Anybody else? I mean, they look all right as far as installation. As far as they light up.
We haven't put the solar light, we haven't put them anywhere else. We wanted to see whether we improve that area at night. It's a good feedback to Stephanie. If we get positive feedback, we will be putting solar lighting in the other remote mailbox.
It's at the north, you're in the north, right?
North Pole.
North,
Yeah, so anybody that's in the north area, they want to look
right
when it gets dark.
They said
so if we could do that.
They work.
Oh, somebody's saying they work.
I told you they work. See?
Anybody who drives down Oasis Club Boulevard will have seen the flashing speed sign. That actually belongs to the country club, not the master. We're in the process of having it moved, and we're going to use it around the community to try and track where we might have some speed issues around the community. We're going to be asking the board to spend a little bit of money on the software to be able to monitor that. That should come in the next couple of weeks. The other thing the committee are working on is something that's been going for a while, which is golf club acoustics. Anybody who's been down there know that if you have more than 10 people in there, you can't hear what people are saying. We did have a proposal that was presented to the old Lennar board in 2019, which they didn't want to spend the money on. We still have the proposal. We're now going up for an upgrade or updated cost, and based on that, we'll present to the board for a yes or a no. Hopefully that will be done by the next board meeting. We're also looking at a longer term golf club furniture. I mean, I'm sure Mark's going to talk about some short term proposals we've got, but there's a tent down there. We'd like to have something more of a semi-permanent structure plus some updated furniture. Not sure where the finances stand, whether we can get out of the reserve funding, but again, that might come through in time for the next board meeting. And the final thing is the next committee meeting is on May 25th. I noticed the question up here. We have on the agenda for that to discuss palm tree trimming. So in the United Land contract, we have a one-off palm tree cut for anything over 15 feet in height. In the budget, well, I'm looking at Alan, I think it's in the budget. It's an $85,000 cost.
It's in the budget.
So it's in the budget. I think we just need to talk about, is now the right time to spend it, because some of the palms over 15 feet are looking.
Yeah, I actually spoke to United about this last week, so they're going to get something together for me.
Okay, that's great. It needs doing. And related to that, somebody mentioned the magnolia trees on Country Club 1. We don't have any more tree trimming for the common land trees. They were done once early in the year. We don't have any more money in the budget for that, but we'll take a look and feedback. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Terry, for the Governance Committee, you can come up to the microphone, please, sir.
We had a meeting May the 6th. We had of the violations that the board submitted to us. We had notice of hearing on one of them. So we didn't get a chance to decide anything on the other violations that the board had approved. We did, with one notice of violation that was presented, notice of hearing, the resident out of country, and we didn't want to fine him until we were sure that he had a chance to know that he had received a notice.
Right.
So we extended the time to him till June 7th, I think it was.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Terry. Mark, on the golf?
We had a meeting last week, and we're just finishing up the year with our last golf function, which is basically the PGA Sunday. Got the Memorial Day tournament coming up, which I believe is sold out.
Waiting list.
So everything's good there. I'm waiting on a final proposal for the board for the nursery. Right now, if something happens to the greens, they take it out of the putting to make repair. So we've got a space up on 17 that we can put a nursery for material in. Linares has hired a contractor to put 7 T-box back in. So they're going to do that, and we're hoping that we may be able to do this at the same time to save a little money and setup costs and stuff. This committee's last meeting is in June. Then it turns over. We'll also put it out there. They're taking applications for the golf committee now, and
There's 4 positions available.
there's 4 positions that'll be open, and we're finalizing the 23-24 calendar, and also we're working on the project list that initially was put together when a couple years ago, I think, for prioritize some projects and get things added to that. So, and then back to some furniture. What we ran into is one of our members has a restaurant, and according to his lease or some agreement, he has to replace the tables every 3 or 4 years. So Derek was heading to the restaurant this afternoon. He said we could have all the tables approved. And they look pretty good. So Derek's going to look at them and see how it would fit in the golf grill. And we'll have a report for you. We have to pick them up tomorrow if we want them. So
I can't see a response from Derek yet.
But yeah, I haven't either. So
okay, thank you, Mark. Okay, that's all of the reports from the committees.
On the golf, the policy manual, let's get Darren to talk about the bricks. The policy manual will be coming to the board for approval next meeting, if not. And then, so I've sent it for comments. So any comments you have, I'd like to receive by the end of this week or end of next week for sure. And then I'll incorporate all the changes.
All right, I had bricks at the end, but come on up, Aaron. No, come do now. It's part of the golf.
Okay, all right. So try to make it quick. So as part of the Memorial Day fundraiser, one of the things that we're doing, the board had already previously approved this, is we're looking to raise money by selling bricks down at the Memorial Garden. If anybody's been down there, they've seen by the flagpole all of the roses and azaleas that are going in there. It looks great. Those will be filled in with mulch, and then leading up to the flagpole and all around the flagpole are going to be engraved bricks that we'll be selling for $100 or $125 a piece, depending on what you want on the brick. And we looked at 3 brick companies. Ended up, they were all very comparable in pricing and services. We ended up recommending Brick Markers USA. They're out of Naples, Florida. And one of the services that they provide is they also offer up off of their a free webpage off of their site, their website, get our own URL, as well as order forms. They'll design our order forms for us for these bricks and so forth. And one of the things that we want to do is utilize those services. They do other services too, but we're going to limit it to these to keep it simple. And so one of the things that we'll do is we want to explain on that web page, and this web page will be just, we'll get our own passwords for it. It'll be just available to us in the community to use and see the language and the forms on there and to be able to utilize all of that. And we'll want to explain this project a little bit on there as well as provide the forms and stuff for people to download. And so on there is some language that I proposed, and I've sent that to some of the board members. And I'll just quickly read it, and I just want to make sure that this is going to be okay, because when this is done, if the board approves, we will have to, the only thing we really have to do is sign an agreement with them that says that we will use, if we're going to use their services, that we'll use them for the entirety of this project. And that's what we have to do. So The language that'll be go on there that's being proposed is this: Championsgate Country Club is installing a memorial garden with a flagpole centerpiece on the clubhouse grounds. It is a memorial garden for the entire community. Championsgate Country Club is soliciting your support to finish the project. Bricks will be installed on the walkway up to and around the flagpole. You may individualize a brick for you, your family, honor a loved one, or make a memorial. The donated bricks will become part of Championsgate Country Club as a lasting tribute, paving the way for generations to come. The opportunity is open to all Championsgate Country Club residents and pass holder members. Funding for this project is entirely from private donations, and no resident paid HOA dues have been used to fund this project.
Just a point there, should we actually open it up to pass holders, or should it just be country club?
You can do either, but our thought was to open it up to pass holders. There are pass holders I know that do want to participate in this.
My only comment on the pass holders is you could see a lifeline of like 2-3 years max for annual pass holders as an outside group, being a regular member.
Yeah, and there are pass holders that are participating in the Memorial Day event too.
Understood.
So, yeah, so.
Okay. How many bricks can we handle there?
Well, it depends,
Just guess.
300.
So we're talking 300 bricks, okay. And there'll be a control in terms of what is put on the bricks.
Yes.
Just in case, you know,
No,
want to make sure that it's, you know, correct and we don't have
Right. So
the wrong sort of bricks out there.
Right. So all of those, nothing will be submitted. So how it'll work is everybody can fill out what they want on there. There's a limited number of characters, lines, and all of that. So you can put what you want on there, but nothing goes forward until we review it and approve it. And we are going to actually have to, if we sell 300 bricks, we are going to have to actually input those 300, the language for 300 bricks on that system, and then submit that. So they will send the checks in to the country club, use it just like we do for all the other funds that go through for those enhancement activities like that. And then once we place an order for the bricks, because we'll want to place the orders in at least 50. At 100, it's $18 a brick. At 50 or between 50 and 100, it's $20 a brick. So we'll want to do it like that to keep the costs down. But then we will withhold the orders until we get so many before we send in the order for the brick.
And it's all self-funding, so the association is not having to run this at all. All we've got to do is approve, right?
Right.
Go ahead with the website.
Right. Exactly. There'll be no association funds used for any of this, for the memorial garden, for that flagpole, for this.
No question from the floor?
Yeah, just a question. Is there any way that you can make a deadline for residents only up to a certain deadline, give everybody an opportunity, the homeowner, first 300? Because if you get 300 residents who want to join, but are do the bricks, but then all of a sudden somewhere along the line, you said we got 50 outsiders who want it. We should have first choice up to a certain date.
We could do that.
And then anything after that date, every homeowner had the opportunity.
We're going to put it
now goes into outside.
Sure, we can absolutely do that.
Yeah, I like that. That overcomes your concern as well.
We can do that. Sure, we can do that.
So the suggestion is to put a date in that for homeowners only to have the opportunity to buy the bricks, and then after that date, it's open up to.
All right, so we'll come up with a date like that,
members.
and we'll adapt this language to communicate that.
Otherwise, I'm good with that.
And Darren, I think this brick thing's amazing. This is what life's all about right here. So I think personally, 300 bricks might fill it pretty quick. Are we gonna have like an overflow spot that we're gonna work on next?
So we don't have an overflow spot, but what we can do, what we've talked about is if you looked at the triangle that's down there where they are, there's a couple of different things we can do. So one is, if you look at up by the first tee, we've got the memorial bench up there, right?
Yep.
We want to relocate that memorial bench to down by the memorial garden, next to the putting green, practice green, facing the flagpole, right? There's bricks that could all go underneath there, right? We could fill that up as big as almost as we wanted to right there. Another option is we could remove some of the flowers in there, and we could add additional, I'm saying we could add additional walkways up from the other sides, if we wanted to do that. But if we get that many bricks sold, what we'd really like to do is do it right down across by the putting green, practice green, for where the memorial bench is gonna go. And that, we can make that as big as we want.
Great.
Right there.
I think we had a lot of options. Good job, Darren.
So can we have a motion to approve the revised wording, which will include a date for resident only?
And I'll send it to you.
And then,
Second.
all those in favor? Right,
Thanks,
good.
Darren.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darren. Okay. Consent agenda, there's no items on the consent agenda, so new business. We have recommendations for 12 violations to go to the Covenants Committee on June the 7th. Can I have a motion to approve, or a motion to send those 12 violations to the Covenants Committee?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, or any questions around those? It's various different violations that have been tagged by the management company. All those in favor? Unanimous? Done? Okay, next on the agenda is North Pool recommendation for procedures and rule enforcement. Stephanie, do you want to take us through this?
I'd love to. So I have been here since December, and in the past several, I'd say at least 3 months, we've seen an increase in complaints and concerns that are coming from the North Pool, especially on the weekends. Mainly, we are seeing large groups of people having private events there. So much so that we had a report that someone put a private party notice on the gates and didn't let any other residents into the North Pool. And just loud music, people with glass bottles, not cleaning up after themselves, people bringing their dogs on the pool deck. I mean, it's a whole slew of issues that we've had. So our recommendation is to, obviously we're never going to be able to get rid of all of the issues, but we try to correct. So our initial thought is to put a reservation system in place for the North Pool for private events, not where people need to pay to reserve the North Pool, but just have it on our lifestyle director's calendar so we know what's going on there. And then if we have an event there that is unauthorized, not on our calendar, then we're able to proceed with the violation process. The thought is also if to create some sort of non-refundable deposit, because we've also found where people, a refundable deposit, where if they don't clean up after themselves, then they will not get their money back for that. We also heard some rumors that there is already a reservation system in place for the North Pool, which circulated around a Facebook group. I don't know. We obviously as a management company have no control over that. We don't see that, but we have been told by several residents that there is some sort of reservation system in place for the North Pool amongst residents. So we don't know who is running that group. Our thought really is, so what you have in front of you is just a set of recommendations. I don't think we need to necessarily move forward with this yet, but I think we need to put a group of people in place to come up with policies and procedures for the North Pool. If there needs to be a North Pool committee, maybe we put that in place. I don't know, but we need to get something in order so that we can have order at the North Pool.
Okay. I guess my first observation, Stephanie, is do we really want to allow for the pool to be closed to residents for a private event? It's an amenity for all of us, that maybe they can have a section. Like we do here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, so that wasn't clear, that was the thought. So like the area that has like the pergola there, it wouldn't be closed to the rest of the community, but if a group of like 20 people wanted to rent out the pergola space, they could do that with the understanding that the rest of the pool deck is open to the rest of the community. Sorry.
Wasn't clear.
I think you need to use proper defined terms. And if you look at the golf manual, like members is a defined term.
Yeah.
And not like residents is not necessarily a defined term. So we need to follow the declaration definition of member.
There's also, if you, there is a plaza rules and regulation document.
Which needs to be updated.
Which
too.
does need to be updated, but at least it's a starting point that you could use as part of this process, and maybe that is a combined document for the plaza and for the North Pool.
I have no issue sending something out saying, there's no private events at the North Pool unless it's been confirmed with the lifestyle director, and we'll deal with the policies going forward. Because when you get into violations, I don't know what you're going to issue of violations on.
Right.
And what the consequences will be.
Right.
Short of suspension for 2 weeks or something like that from other amenities.
We had a question.
I don't know how anybody could keep anybody out of it. I don't know.
I'm sorry?
I don't either.
Can you come to the?
I don't know how they could be keeping.
Yeah.
No, you're talking about the reservations for the pool, whatever. It's always been my understanding, first come, first served. We like the North Pool in the summer. To be honest with you, nobody can keep them out of it.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, honestly, it's not ideal. We're just trying to come up, and again, it's just recommendation. We're trying to come up with something where we can have some sort of order at the North Pool. Because right now there just doesn't seem to be, and it's where these big parties are happening. I mean, we go, we get reports on every Monday morning that there was a group of 30 people blaring music. We have constant noise complaints coming from the North Pool. People had their dogs at the North Pool, their glass bottles at the North Pool. No one cleans up. The bathrooms are destroyed at the North Pool every Monday morning. So we just need to figure out what we need to do.
Earlier in the meeting, I heard you all say there was a contract with the sheriff's department, and
that's with the Master Association.
Oh, that's just for the master.
Yeah.
So there is nothing else going on for the residents here at Championsgate outside of what's going on with the master. I mean, we can't have. What's the purpose of Ramco driving around doing something? I mean, if you got a party going on, there's a lot of noise. Yeah. Somebody should do it.
Ramco works with the Master Association.
It is the Master Association, and we kind of had this conversation before that. We as the country club can have the sheriff go around our community and police it for us. But you know what? That's a cost. So your assessments go up. So if you want that, we can put that in the 2024 budget and we can have that discussion. So that's the thing.
Hired.
Part of the personnel that you call management.
It should be
Maybe
called
there's an
Ramco.
issue.
It's after hours.
If it's after hours, then, you call the sheriff.
What is the procedure? This happened on the weekend.
Okay, speak up, Karen, because no one can hear you.
Something happened on the weekend at the North Pool.
Yeah.
We were sitting in our houses, a number of us, and all you heard was boom, 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 you know what I mean?
Oh, good.
So we went to the North Pool, we didn't know who was there, and I showed you the video, I took a video, there was a 3-foot speaker like this, maybe there was 10 people, I mean, yeah, the one who's keeping the dogs in his garage, and we just said, could you please, just lower your music, and the F started to fly, F you. We're entitled to play our music as loud as we want. And,
Yeah, we can put a policy in place, but that doesn't police it. And we need to think, to your point, that there needs to be some way that we can police it.
Yeah.
And at the weekend is when it's going to happen. You guys are not here at the weekend, so we do need to figure out how we can police it.
Also, that type of behavior is not tolerated. So if you know who it is, whatever, it needs to be reported and we need with disciplinary action. If they are doing that, like profanities are just,
Are you
no.
You cannot curse on the property out here, right? And you're not supposed to.
Well, the other thing we're doing, Karen, with the attorney is we're drafting up a code of conduct. We as board members and committee members all sign a code of conduct that we adhere to in terms of social media and how we behave in the community. We're drafting up one for everybody to say you've got to treat people with respect, and that will be going out once we've got through the legal side of it and get all the wording agreed. But that's something that we're going to be putting out. Again, it doesn't stop people from behaving badly, but at least it puts it out there to say this is how we expect you to, behave in our community. That's what we all want.
Well, I did report it to Stephanie Trisha a while ago. I gave her a video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she knows who it is.
Did we send a letter to them?
She just told me today.
Okay.
Hey, Neil,
Yes, sir.
a quick question. First of all, I think allowing closure of the pool, whether a reservation or not, is not a good thing to do. I mean, whether you're making money on it or whatever. The other thing is, and this has been a personal beef of mine since I moved in here, and is the management company needs to have people on site through the weekend. Not necessarily just there at the restaurants and all this sort of thing. I just don't understand that. I was up here last week on Thursday night, right? No big deal. I seen 3 key management people, not trying to get anybody in trouble here, walking out the door at the same time at 5:30. We need to figure a way to stagger management. There's a way to communicate with these people. I'm assuming it would be their job to get out and observe what's going on, like at the North Pole or something like that, and make a decision or whatever. So I think that would go a long way, having somebody on site.
Christina, can I?
We do have a 1-800 number. It's a 24-hour.
It doesn't work.
It does, because.
We got 40
if you tell them
inquiries
that it is an emergency, that call actually comes to me.
Okay.
And then I can either call myself or make sure that a member of the management team comes and addresses the concern.
Christina, I will tell you with all due respect, people don't even know who we are when we call that number. I called it twice.
I've called it 5, 6 times. No one ever, it goes to some national call center, wherever it is, and no one ever gets back to us.
Okay, I will address that for you and assure you that if you call that number, you tell them that it's an emergency, it will come to myself, Stephanie, or Peter. So I'll have that conversation with the customer care team tomorrow.
Okay. And I know it costs money, but
They told me that no one should be state was.
at least staggering management on hours would be beneficial.
Okay, I mean, it's something we can consider, and the board will talk to Best Services. Okay. All right, in the interest of time, can we move on to the next agenda item, which is the 4th of July off-duty officer proposal? Stephanie?
Yeah.
So, here you go.
I have it here. I'm just, yeah. So the objective here is to have an off-duty Florida Highway Patrol officer on the golf course on the evening of the 4th of July to deter fireworks and mischief that evening. Historically, the 4th of July has created issues where people are setting off fireworks on the golf course, so we're trying to deter that. We did inquire with the Florida Highway Patrol. It is $100 an hour for an off-duty officer, including an hour of travel.
This gentleman says he'll do it for 50.
But I think we have done this in previous years, well, last year particularly, and it was very successful in stopping all the fireworks, particularly on hole 5 there.
Yeah, so
Prior year, there was a lot of damage.
So we're recommending 5 hours plus 1 hour of travel time for a total of $600.
Our
But it's
property.
our
It's
property.
our property, on our property.
Our property though.
So this police is to keep them off of our property, to stop them setting off the fireworks, particularly on the hole 5. That's where it seems to happen. So last year we had the patrol car actually up there. We can try. Yeah, we can try. Can we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All those in favour? Aye. Yep, unanimous. Done. Establishment of a food and beverage committee with the chair being Larry Bickle. So as, was that a no? He's gone. Sit back down, Larry. As Terry mentioned earlier, they're redrafting up the charter for it, and that'll be submitted to the board, but we don't want to hold off having the food and beverage committee established because it is an important committee. We used to have it historically, it kind of fell by the wayside, but now, particularly when we look at the financials, food and beverage is a challenge, I'll say that. You can look at the monthly financials, you'll see them online. We're not doing great with the food and beverage. There is a gap between income and expenditure that needs to be bridged. And so it's great that we've got somebody like Larry who's experienced in the food and beverage business, putting his name forward and chairing this committee. So he certainly has my vote, but I need a motion from the committee, the board to appoint Larry Bickle as the chair of the... Terry first, Marilyn second. All those in favour? Aye. Unanimous. Right. You're now in. Now we have.
And in lieu of going through this list in time, Neil, all I'm asking basically is for the board to review that list.
Yep.
And we're asking for permission to create a meeting with FSR on a regular basis to be able to sit down.
That's absolutely fine. We've got no problem with that. The only comment in going through it, and maybe Marilyn has some more comments, is the last one in terms of the increase in beer pricing at the golf club. Yes, that was not communicated in a very timely manner. It should have been communicated ahead of time. That was, we dropped the ball on that one. That should have been communicated ahead of time that this was coming out. Everybody knew that the new menu was being developed, but the actual costs involved in that were not well communicated. It was communicated after the event, and those reasons as to why the price increases were so significant were explained in that document that came out. We haven't increased the prices down at the golf grill forever. And with as I mentioned, the gap that we've got in the income expenditure on food and beverage, and also to align it to the pricing structure up here at the plaza was what was put in place. I will just say this comment on here about guests. This will encourage members and guests to either not purchase or bring their own. Anybody brings their own liquor, alcohol onto the golf course will be suspended. They will be in violation, and we will lose our liquor license. So I'll just say that right now. Do not bring your own liquor onto the golf course or here in the plaza. It's a violation, and we can lose our liquor license. So that is not an option.
And all 5 of us are on that liquor license.
Yeah.
Personally.
Okay. Rich. What? Not being able to bring your own? Yeah. Yep. It is.
Well, it was in the old golf manual. It's clearer in the new one.
So again, a communication will go out. That will be coming out. So I wanted to use this because of the situation that people got concerned about the price increases. We wanted to mention it at this board meeting, but also reiterate that you cannot bring your own alcohol or food, for that matter, into the plaza because it puts at risk our liquor license. And we lose our liquor license, we might as well close the place down. Okay.
Neil.
Question over there?
Yep. Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
I'm just gonna talk about this real quick. Please excuse me. So, last week we got a call saying, the Miller Lite down at the golf course was $6.25 for a non-member and $5 plus tax, which is $5.38 for a member. Tax, got it. So, a lot of people were talking about this. And my thing is I'm not promoting alcohol, but alcohol is like something that, we get to enjoy with our friends, our family, our members after golf and things like that. Me personally, I get it. We tell people you can't bring alcohol to the course. We'll lose our liquor license. At the end of the day, people are still going to bring alcohol to the course until they get caught. Like, that's just my thought process on it. And I don't want that to happen. I want everybody to follow the rules. So, I understand we have costs and things like that, but, I called around. I did. I called down to the tap house and asked them how much their beers were. 16 ounce of Miller Lite is $3, non-happy hour, $2 during happy hour. Then I called Beef O'Brady's. Beef O'Brady's a little bit bigger place. It was $4.25, not during happy hour, 16 ounce Miller Lite. And then I called Miller's Ale House, and they were $3.99, 16 ounce, not during happy hour. So I get it. We got to make money. We got to keep costs at a certain point. But I think if there's anything on the menu where maybe we should break even with the members, is an alcoholic beverage that we could share during golf or after golf with our people. Because my theory is if people are down there drinking and laughing and having fun, they're going to order more food. If they're going to order more food, it's going to bring in more revenue for the golf course. I don't want Scott and Larry and Sonia and everybody to get done playing golf and go, I'm not paying $5.38 for a Bud Light draft or a Miller Lite draft. Let's go to my house. Then they skedaddle. They're gone.
I don't disagree with you, Terry, and I think that's why it's important for the Food and Beverage Committee to review it with First Services, sit down with them and look at it. And I think you should, and then come back.
One of the things I got to make everybody aware of, for instance, it's very simple what you said about going to Beef O'Brady's, going to Miller's and all these places and say, hey, they got a better price. The bottom line is they can cover a lot of their losses in other areas on that menu, right? And we don't do near the business that they do. And we don't have the opportunity to make up the difference on a happy hour price on a beer, right? Now, I will tell you, there are some discussions that we can have about possibly maybe a special beer for the club, like going through, I don't care what it is, some rock gut, whatever, but if you can get a beer for $3, maybe people will be happy. And I get that. But at the end of the day, we got to be real careful on how we perceive this along with how we approach making the change, right? If there is any change. And my question was that I would hope to speak with these guys about would be, what is the logic behind when they do a price increase? How do they determine a price increase, right? And now, are we pricing that because we're covering for something else? And that's all good, but you know what? I think if you communicate with the community as to why you're doing things, especially when it comes to things coming out of your pocket, which you guys well know.
Yep.
I think that's very important. So.
And I think, Larry, you will recall when we reviewed the menu with the previous management company, we looked at cost of goods sold, we did all of that evaluation with them. And I think that's what I would hope the Food and Beverage Committee can go through and undertake that analysis with them and then come back and say, okay, the margins on this are X and that's okay. The margins on this are too low. Let's increase it. Margins on this are too high. Let's bring it back.
And I will tell you the biggest problem we have as a community here. Hopefully people don't take this wrong, but the worst members of your country club are the people that don't spend money.
I know.
And we got to support the club. Like, for instance, we're going to start opening the club on Wednesdays and Friday nights, the golf club, till 8:30, right? Please go down there and get a hamburger, get a pizza or whatever. Go down and enjoy it. Food's pretty good down there, right? The same with here. Please come out and support the clubs. And I think if we get more people starting to go to these places and spend a few bucks, that'll allow us to maybe drop some of these prices, right? Because we're covering our shortfalls.
No, I don't disagree. It's always our challenge is getting more foot traffic through the door. Scott.
So I had a call from a member today, and he paid $20 for 4 Bloody Marys.
That's cheap.
It's very cheap. But he also paid $24 for 4 draft beers.
Right.
So that doesn't make any sense. And it concerns me because here again, the guys that are supporting the club, the guys that have been loyal here since I've been here, are going to get really discouraged, and they're just not going to stick around.
But to be fair, plays devil's advocate, you've had it really, really cheap for many, many years.
I understand that.
Because there's been no price increases for years.
How expensive it'll be as it gets more expensive. We're just going to cut off
I know.
our good
There has to be a
members
balance.
that love to sit around. I've got it on my phone, so we're paying $5 for a draft beer, and we're paying $3.26 for a can of beer.
But as I mentioned earlier, for the first quarter this year, food and beverage has lost 130,000. You take that for four quarters, that's a lot of money we've got to make up.
And the only way
I
you make
agree,
it
but
up
you won't
is,
make it up by increasing prices. Because you're gonna lose.
then your HOA will be going.
Or we increase the monthly minimum,
French fries and onion rings.
or the assessments go up.
There's the perfect example.
It has to be a zero-sum balance at the end of the day.
It's gotta be somewhere in the middle though.
That's a perfect example of putting something out there as a community to say, hey, look, we lost this kind of money. We need your support. This is one of the things we're doing to get it back. I mean, it's all, I live and learn. I mean, it's okay, but it's just communication.
That kills us.
And the question at the back there.
Actually relatively new to Championsgate. And I've been to the golf club, and I feel like I walk into a hospital cafeteria. And there's a difference between my expectations of what I'm going to pay for something when I walk into that, as opposed to when I walk into Bruce Chris, right? But I'm going to pay a lot of money for a beer, more money for a beer there than I would in hospitals. No, I guess it's just a bad analogy there. But,
I get your point.
Needs to be better over there. It just does.
I get your point. I'll just reiterate it for the people on the phone. The comment was that when you go into the golf grill, it feels like you're going into a hospital cafeteria as opposed to a restaurant. That's the way Lennar built it and left it with us. Also, part of the issue we have on the food and beverage, particularly here in the plaza, is we have a finite community of 937 homes because we don't open it up to the public. Similarly, we restrict the amount of public that can use the golf club. So we're limiting the amount. So it's not like a Miller's where they've got a nationwide brand and they have all the vacationers coming in. We're not going to open it up to that. So we have to make sure that we're covering the costs. And the only way we can do that is either through assessments or through the prices.
I'm just telling you, I would probably be more likely to kind of hang out over there if I had a chair that wasn't that.
Well, and that is something that Mark and Peter are looking at the furniture over there to see whether we can upgrade it.
I think that if you want to make money, you need to set yourself up. Like, you're not going to sell a home if there's broken windows and broken doors and holes in the wall. You have to invest money in the property in order to get top dollar.
I agree. I mean, we're not looking to make money. We're just looking to break even. That's all we're trying to do.
Make it more money than you're making now. I think that it's an investment into what could be down the road.
The golf grill should make money because of the public play that goes through there.
But it doesn't.
It did used to.
It did used to. It doesn't now.
And very good for quite some time.
Pardon me?
Can we get the P&Ls from the golf course?
They're online. The numbers are online.
This month or last month?
For March, you say March has been posted? March has been
Food and
posted.
beverage is short and golf is short.
Okay,
I like the comment from
Yeah.
Tracy.
Egg rolls and golf. Okay. Egg rolls, there we go. Yes, sir. Yes. Can you come up to the mic so the people online can hear you?
Question is, since we're talking food and beverage, do we have separate P&Ls for the plaza, food, and
We do, yes.
Okay.
Yes, and both are
We
losing
know
money.
Both are losing money.
Yeah.
That's all I need to know.
Okay. Okay, moving forward, for the next point was the election procedures resolution. So this is a resolution to detail the forthcoming members meeting on August the 10th, when 3 of the board members, i.e. myself, Marilyn and Alan, will be rolling off of the board because our term will have, Marilyn and my term will have rolled off for the 2 years. Alan, because he stepped in, sadly, after the passing of John, he has to stand for re-election if he chooses to do so in August. So there'll be 3 seats on the board for election in August this year. And we had, because last year it was a little confused in terms of the procedures, we had the attorney draft the procedures that need to be adopted in terms of the process of the election of new board members, the process of submitting the applications, the publication of it, the ballot, how the voting is managed, and then the final outcome of the elections. So that was something that we wanted to add as a procedure to the governing documents. It doesn't require a member vote, but it does require approval by the board. So if I can have a motion to approve or to submit this board resolution for adopting the election procedures. Can I have a second?
Second.
Any questions about it? All those in favor? Aye, unanimous, thank you. I had 2 more things. Activities Committee Charter Revision. I looked at it, and Marilyn's looked at it, and I don't know about you guys, but it seems to be different to some of our other charters. It's not following the same format.
Agreed. So I gave this model charter to Nicole to kind of revise it to fit ours. More than happy to use the current charters and fit it in for the activities committee. The main change is naming the lifestyle director as the chair of the committee.
Yeah, because that doesn't have anything about them signing for, the social media, et cetera, So I think if we can just change the existing activities committee charter to have that language, then bring it back next month and we'll approve it.
Yeah, but we can approve Nicole being the chair.
We can. So if you want a motion approving Nicole being the chair of the activities committee.
So moved.
Second? A second. Okay. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So approved. And then last, just a comment, just to raise the issue. There is a challenge with office space for First Services. And so we are asking them to explore options. They just hired a new controller. So that should help with the financial analysis and help Alan particularly and Marilyn and the finance committee in terms of doing some of those financial reporting, preparing them, getting it ready. So we've run out of kind of space in that tiny little office they've got there. So we're asking First Services to explore other options. When those proposals come through, we'll see what it is, because we've got limited space here as well. So just wanted to put it out there that we are looking at where we can accommodate additional seats for office space. And then I did have one more, which is lastly, we are meeting with our IT company tomorrow, ITS, to talk to them about the overall architecture. Peter talked earlier about the point of sale system. We're also looking at the overall architecture of our technology, because we have this data center down in Tampa. Having reviewed it, we think we should be going into a cloud-based environment. Provides a lot more resiliency and capabilities for us. So we're sitting down with our ITS technology company tomorrow to go through what the options are. Other than that, I'll open it up for any questions that are not that anybody wanted to ask.
Very quick.
Yeah.
I sent you
The questions.
questions.
Let's discuss offline.
And Neil, I just want to make one comment with the board coming up for change possibly, that I hope anybody that runs with the board understands the time commitment and the expertise you have to have. Like, for instance, what's your background?
Finance, CPA.
Neil?
Finance.
CPA.
Okay, so just coming off the street, because you work somewhere or whatever, and that's fine. You want to do something for the community. But understand, I witnessed it with these people, what it takes to go into this job. So, and it's the same thing with the master board, right? You need some smart people. You don't need somebody to go in there to say, hey, I'm your guy, right? Really not get anything done. Huh? Oh, you're the man. But no, seriously, everything that this board has done since I've all the way back through the transition committee, Peter was there, has been amazing, right? And people just don't understand what goes into that, right? I'm surprised you guys are still married, to be honest with you.
Got a very understanding wife.
I guess. But anyway, thank you for your service.
No, thank you, Larry. Any other questions? Anything online that we didn't get, apart from the egg rolls?
Egg rolls.
Anything else up there?
Yeah, no, it's all, they were answered.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, then. Rich.
Just, I guess, most of the criteria and whatever the process is. I'd like to know, is there a way that we can do a fundraiser for the plaza? Everything goes to the golf course, only the golf course. Is there anything we can do here to address some of our shortfalls? Not monetarily shortfalls, furniture shortfalls, maybe some.
I got to.
Absolutely, yeah. I'd welcome it.
Have some type of, whether it be on the golf course or be a gambling night. I don't know the logistics, the gambling night.
I'm not sure a gambling night would cut it, but.
In the house favor.
Any fundraiser would be.
Mary has some great ideas too. I'm just going to tell you, the answer to your question, I think it's a very valid question. Again, what people don't understand, well, a lot of people don't understand, like for instance, our fundraising committee for the golf course, right? Not $1 came from the country club, right? We're covering the costs at the golf club. It takes us minimum 4 months to put this thing together, right? And we're going out soliciting people for donations. And we put every Tuesday, anybody's welcome to join us for breakfast, by the way. Tuesday at the club at 8:30, we have a good time. But we're discussing this event each time we have these fundraiser events. Now, I would assume the board, as long as somebody presented something that made sense to the board, they would approve starting a fundraiser, right?
Absolutely.
The key is the board needs to be involved and understand and approve and all that sort of thing. So anybody wants to step to the plate with great ideas, I'm sure they're going to listen.
So again, going through the process, first person you talk to, committee member, activities committee, then legal, then whomever. So I'm just trying to start the process. Who do we need to talk to at least to find out, can we have one?
Yeah.
And then what type of fundraiser can we have? The gallery. Again, I'm just asking.
And I will tell you this, Mark Sanchez had a golf outing last year and he raised $1,000 and he was really proud of it. We were talking, Terry Green and I were talking, we said, is that all you raised? He goes, what? So anyway, we told him for his next fundraiser, he's doing a golf scholarship back in New York down here. And the bottom line is, we will be more than happy to advise you on how we put it together. Anybody wants to do a fundraiser, if you need us, right? We can advise you, but you need to have your team put together on how you're going to do it, right? You need 5 or 6 people to do these properly within the community.
So I think, Rich, if you've got ideas, I think you should sit down with Larry and with Terry, just go through and start the process working.
As possible.
Very possible. It is, absolutely.
What are our options?
Yeah.
Before we even get in.
It is possible. Absolutely, it's possible.
Probably not the gambling.
Not the
but
gambling
almost
because we don't have a
anything
gambling license, so we can't do gambling.
Sit in a dunk tank.
There are certain aspects of it. We can, I mean, I thought you were talking about roulette tables and things like that. We can't.
Can't do that if you just say, okay, like bingo. Bingo's gambling. You give out what, a $10 gift card. And do first place, nobody's winning what they're making.
It would have to be structured in a way that didn't compromise us from a legal perspective, but yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yes, go to you guys have to tell us.
And just so you know, what, it was about a year ago, when we were fighting, somebody came up with the gambling at the golf course. How many thousands of dollars did that cost us in lawyers? Because somebody was complaining that we were playing for money on the golf course. But we pursued it.
It's well done.
Yeah. It cost thousands of dollars.
Okay, guys, so your answer is, Rich? Yes, it's an option. Yes, it's an option. We just need to understand what it is you want to do. Okay, so I am going to ask for a motion to close the meeting, if I may. Can I have a second? Second. All those in favor? Meeting is closed at 7:57.
I'm gonna keep you long.